donuts.
Why didn't you tell me
He only had
you had
3
donuts?
Just
I could have
3.
come and got donuts from you. I know exactly where your office is.
I'm on a health food diet now.
Me too. I just had a bag of potato chips for lunch.
Okay.
And a seafood diet.
Oh, seafood. There you go.
All you see, huh?
Seafood, I eat it.
I think we're on the same page there.
There you go.
That's the one thing I've been eating so much.
What?
Pandemic, I've been eating so much, you know.
Everyone has.
There's
really
nothing
good
else.
for
Nothing
going out
else
to eat.
do.
Yeah,
It's
I'm really
emotional
good for going
eating.
out to eat, but
Yeah.
because I'm not doing that, because we're cooking, like I'm doing way more cooking than I have in the last several months.
Me too.
Because it's just like, oh, this is fun. I can do that too. So,
Well, you know what? For me, because I love to cook, this is a time to try new recipes, be creative with it. And I love taking pictures of my food and stuff. So
I know.
I'm sorry.
One day you're gonna be like, who's knocking at my door? And I'm gonna be like, I want some of that ackee. I see your stuff.
And you know what's funny? I didn't realize that I was that bad. I was looking through some old Facebook pictures and I was like, oh, I've been doing this a long time.
We talk about what we love. That's the bottom line. We talk about what we love.
Yeah.
So,
Only if you found something to do.
We're official here. We're
It
recording.
gets boring out there.
Bruce, hey Bruce, we're recording, so I just want to make sure that we do this thing the right way. In that, we got someone new with us today, and I want to make sure that we say hello and ask her to tell us about herself, her company, all that good stuff. Because you know what I found out recently? Like, I record these and then I put them on my YouTube channel, and people are like watching them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm getting people who are like, hey, I watched that Friday thing and I learned this, because every time we do this, somebody drops something of value, like really, and people are watching it. So I'm like, oh, well, then we better make sure that we tell people who we are. So let's do it. Michelle is our newest guest. You were on, I think, our original conversation when we talked about COVID. But, you know, I think you're with Into Action, if I can read properly. Tell us about yourself while we got you live.
Sure. So I'm the principal and CEO of Into Action Coaching. We are a boutique size, full service executive coaching, training, and talent management consulting firm. We partner primarily with organizations, small to medium size, and it's really all about leadership and professional development. Companies that may be grappling with their organizational design, hiring the right people, developing them, coming up with career planning, succession planning. That's our specialty. We call ourselves sort of people strategists, because we help organizations recognize that their greatest assets are their people.
I like that. The greatest assets are their people. And I think, if I can just vamp for just 1 second, so many business owners don't realize that that's the most important thing. Keep your people happy. If you keep your people happy, your business will flourish, because then everybody's rowing in the boat and they're all rowing in the same direction. I got that right?
Yeah.
So, both exactly right.
Yeah, your role is invaluable for people who want to grow their business.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being here with us.
Welcome.
Welcome. Bruce, tell us about yourself, kind sir.
Well, the Krispy Kreme donuts are I still have 3 of them left. So
right after this is done, I'm coming down to your office. I expect mine in a baggie.
There'll be 1 left by that time.
Okay.
I'm in the real estate business. I manage an office in Teaneck. I've been in the real estate business since 1997. So do the math. I guess it's about 23, 24 years. I've been with various companies in the metropolitan area, Fort Lee. Now I'm in Teaneck. So I haven't moved around. I live in Hackensack on Prospect. So I haven't moved around a whole lot. Prior to that, I was in the window blind and shade business, family business for 80 years. Grandfather started it. back in 1910, and carried that through until the back in the 80s, I guess, when Lowe's opened and Home Depot opened,
Ooh.
and sales
Start
started
messing
to,
with mom and pops up, huh?
yeah, it's just sales started to go down, and it didn't pay to come to work, pay. I guess at the high point, I had about 18 employees. It became too difficult, so I left, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I have a degree in psychology, so what am I going to do? Open up a psychology store? I mean, when you think about it, it isn't the best major. That being said, that's what I have, a degree in psychology.
Gotcha.
And so I said to myself, well, Bruce, why don't you get a real estate license? I'm also an instructor, a state of New Jersey licensed instructor. So I license brokers and um, salespeople.
Cool.
Um,
So before you go on, so you got a lesson there for us, right? So as a business owner, it's an interesting lesson. How do you compete with the big boys? That's really what happens, right? A lot of companies, struggle when you have these mega corporations opening. So is there a way to compete with the big boys is really what I pull out of that. Some are able to do it. I think when there's a challenge, you have to figure out how to restructure your business, maybe how to pivot. There's an expression, we talked about it, I think it was before, right? Riches and niches. So is there a way to maybe niche down into something that would allow you to still have your presence? And obviously every business is different, but I think in all of our businesses, we're going to have to find ways to do that. Well, not all of our businesses, but many of our businesses, we have to find ways to do that. In the accounting business, you think about the accountants that were around all these years, and then came H&R Block, right?
no,
And those
right.
accountants back then must have been like, oh my goodness, now what? Or Jackson Hewitt and Liberty Tech, but accountants managed to stay around, right? Now we've got TurboTax. How do you pivot? So that's one of the important lessons when it comes to being a business owner. There was interesting, I put up a post on Facebook today or yesterday, and like, what's one of the lessons you learned? And a lot of people said, don't give up, find a way to make it work. But before I digress too much, Colette, tell us about yourself, your business.
Okay. My name is Colette Taylor.
Hi.
And hey, and I'm the owner of Fluid Financial Group. And what we do is we help women. We'll work with anyone, but our main our main client is women, because women are very underserved. Women have a unique life journey, and women usually are underinsured. They don't usually have their retirements put together when they need to. And because of the life they live, because women have to step out of work fields and take care of family, it makes it's very challenging. So I work with women to help them with their retirement and help them with regular insurance coverage, and try to educate them on wealth management. So that's what we do.
Very cool.
Where's your office?
In Lake City, Georgia.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Is that where you are now?
Yes, I'm in Georgia.
Oh, wow.
But I'm licensed.
I've heard of Georgia.
I'm licensed in Georgia, of course, and I'm also licensed in New York, Michigan, and North Carolina, and waiting for my approval for New Jersey. And then I've got some other states that I'm looking to license in. With the situation now with the pandemic, it's in my best benefit to be licensed in several states.
Yeah, I think even without the pandemic, the more you can spread that wealth.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna say something?
Georgia's a beautiful state. I have a friend in Georgia. I don't remember where he lives.
It is definitely a beautiful place. I grew up in New York, And I remember when I first came down here, and I was like, it's so green.
Exactly.
That's the first thing.
Hey, I grew up in Manhattan, and when I moved to Bergenfield, New Jersey, I was like, it's so green.
I know, right? Once you leave.
Anything outside of 145th Street or the
Right.
block, it's a whole different world. I will not forget the first morning I woke up. I bought a house in Teaneck. And so I had an apartment when I first moved out. Bought a house, so the bedroom was upstairs. You live in a house. It was what do they call those houses? Not a Tudor, but a Cape. So the first time, yeah, right, the cod, right, Cape Cod. So the first morning I wake up, it felt like birds were all around me. I was like, what is all that? It was that never happened in the city. It's a whole different world. It's a whole
birds are smart. They stay out of the city.
Right.
Well, it's pigeons in the city, and then
right.
There you go.
That's a whole different type of bird.
Kind of bird, yeah. So
you need to wear a hat all the time.
Right. I remember calling my cousin when I was got my first apartment down here, and I said, "Guess where I parked?" She says, "Where?" I said, "In front of my apartment."
Yeah, right. All those things are so different. All those things are so different. You know, I'm going to ask you this question just because we're talking about business. Do you find, now you're in the South, do you find that the message to the client differs by location? What do you think?
I don't know if it's that the message differs. The approach might differ.
Okay, that's what I mean, the approach.
Yeah, the approach might differ where in New York, seems like you're just a little bit more direct. And down here, maybe you want to start with a little small talk, but I think it's really the approach. Yeah, that might be a little different.
So
it's sales. It's sales.
But sales does vary. Do you agree? And do you think that sales varies by region, the sales approach?
But I'll comment on that. I don't think the sales approach has much to do with geographics. The sales approach is adapting to who our potential customer is. So, we're in the relationship business, to Bruce's point, right? So it's learning what the makeup of an individual is with what Colette shared, in the South, a bit more casual, maybe the pace is a little slower. But yet it boils down to, and there may be even some transients like Colette who are fast-paced coming from the North. So,
exactly.
When we are interacting, it's trying to gauge, even if right now, we're not meeting with people in person, but as best we can, maybe trying to determine by body language, by expressions, or even by tone of voice, we can kind of get a sense of what, if they're a fast talker, if they're kind of introverted, which means that we have to ask a lot of questions and extract information from them, right? It boils down to how can I meet them where they are, given the personality type that they have. And this way, when we meet them where they are, they may be more receptive to what solutions we have, because we're not selling anything. We're providing solutions regardless of what, our product or our service is. So it's about how we can get people to know, like, and trust us.
Right. And the bottom line is everyone wants a solution to their problem. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter where you are.
That's right.
But they also have to learn how to resolve and answer their own questions that they have. You need to be somewhat independent and follow a coach, listen to a coach, but you still have your own approach.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because I think a good coach.
Do you agree, Michelle?
Well,
you can disagree. I mean,
yeah, no, trust me, I would if I had an opposing opinion. You're right. I mean, we're not trying to create a dependency, but oftentimes people they know what their issues or problems or challenges are, and it's not even for a coach, but it could be for, real estate provider or someone in financial. It's
guidance.
That's exactly right. So it's at least putting them on the path of what the solutions might be, so that when they take off the, training wheel, so to speak, you know, they have a different way of thinking. Their critical thinking and problem solving skills are heightened because, to Colette's point, we've given them guidance and support so that they can try to do it on their own. And then again, some companies, depending upon what their expertise is, that's not what they want to do. You know, I mean, I think for me as a HR, learning and development, organizational development consultant and specialists, you know, I want to be a partner to these organizations and be with them for as long as they need me, because if they're pharmaceutical or healthcare or a financial institution, that's not their wheelhouse. They want to bring us in and go, you know what, we'll continue to bring you on to help us figure out what it is that we need to be doing. So, yeah.
I mean, and that's smart, right? If you are able to, as the owner, delegate the roles, give each person their area of expertise. Well, now you can flourish. I don't have to spend time trying to figure this out. I've got Into Action doing it for me. I don't have to spend time trying. That's really what makes you a better business, right? Because you start to learn each person's role, and that's what I think is so important. So when I'm working with businesses, I'm always trying to figure that part out. Like, what role should each person play? Which role should each department play? A lot of, especially smaller businesses, everything is like this, right? And so it's a little bit messy. But if you can figure out how to help them to extract it, and everybody has a role, now you can start plugging and playing and delegating and managing, and you can really grow a business. So I think that's important to making it scalable. I can see how if you don't find the people to fill the role, you will never grow. I was listening to some podcast recently, and the guy talked about, have you ever heard of this? He called it the hub and spoke system.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it was interesting. He said, you know, and it made a lot of sense. When we start our businesses, you know, you think about a wheel and we're the hub of the wheel, right? That's what we do. We start the business. We're doing everything. We're getting it off the ground. We're moving. But if you remain the hub, you'll never grow out. You have to start figuring out how to break out these spokes and have these people doing these other pieces. That's how you get scalable.
Yeah.
Right. So I really like that analogy. I wish I can get a little bit better. I probably need to call that guy and tell me how he breaks it down, because it was really but it made a lot of sense. You know, the challenge of scalability is that's the challenge for a lot of small business owners. That's why coaching exists.
Yeah,
that's why
it's interesting that you say that. You know, I graduated 2 years ago from the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program.
Did you?
Yeah. Amazing. Talk about, you know, their goal is to help small businesses grow 10 times, right? Exponential, you know, growth. And one of the things that they help us is to begin to really see ourselves as CEOs. So even if we are sole proprietors and we may not necessarily have a staff, when we think about our business as a CEO, and this kind of talks to the hub and the spokes metaphor, we look at the function. So we may be, I call it executive chef and bottle washer, right? So we've got marketing, we've got finance, we've got R&D, we've got operations, all of these different functions. Now, to a certain extent, as the CEO, we're going to be wearing a lot of those hats, but eventually what we want to do, even if we don't hire people, we may want to outsource and find consultants or freelancers so that we're not trying to do all of that, because then we're going to stretch ourselves. But thinking about these tasks as functions starts to have us look at our business through the lens of a CEO and begin to figure out, okay, who can we bring on board, however temporarily or permanent, to handle those functions, to your point, Mark, about it being scalable, because we'll never grow our business if we're doing everything ourselves.
Yeah. One of the exercises that I have for business owners that I'm working with, right? So we do this whole plan, and I don't always do it exactly at the same time with them, but we make them create the org chart, right? And it's funny because decades ago, it's crazy how time is flying, but decades ago when I worked in a consulting firm, they always gave us this org chart. And I'm like, you know, I'm looking, all I did, right, just pages and pages, I'm looking for my name. Like, so I'm like, this is dumb. Like, I don't even care. But now as an owner, it's like, oh, I see the importance of it. So I try to make people You could be a one-man shop. Make an org chart, because what's going to happen is you're going to have all these different roles and your name's in each one of them. But if you see it visually, you can then say, you know what, I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm going to pull this box out and fill that name. That's scalability, right? So I have clients of mine, if they want to scale, make an org chart, right? And in the beginning, it might be CEO, Mark Adams, CFO, Mark Adams, accountant, Mark Adams, bookkeeper, Mark Adams. It doesn't matter. At some point, it's going to be sales, Joseph Herr, you know, and that's really what we want to do if we're going to be scalable. So I like that. You know, it's so much to learn. I learned that, honestly, that whole org chart thing. Have you read the book, The E-Myth?
We talked about that before.
And that book
I
is
downloaded it.
Yeah, it's a good book. I mean, you know, look, there are a lot of good books out there. The one I'm reading now, I started reading it, stopped. It's just so many things to do, right? It's called The Road Less Stupid. It's really good. It's short, pithy, but the points are really valuable. So, but that's one of those points when I read it, it was one of those eye openers. Why so many businesses struggle is because the business starts to suck the life out of you. You as you start to grow, how do you manage your clients and keep growing the business and keeping everybody happy? You know, and so I don't know if we can't say it's a science to it, but it's maybe an art science blend to do it eloquently, and that's really the goal, right?
As much as you try, you can't. If you have a lot of people, you can't please everyone. You can't please the world. You can, as much as you try, it's impossible.
So then what do you do if you can't please everybody?
Well, you try to extract the best out of each person, what they're good at, and you let them do it.
Well, wait,
you can train them also. You can train them. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just trying to get clarity in the connection with where Mark was going. So he was talking about scalability, and then you made reference to you can't please people. So I'm not sure. What do you mean? Who's the people you're talking about?
Employees.
Okay.
Employee. It may not be a direct. It isn't a direct answer or comment to Mark's.
Oh, okay.
Forgive me for that.
Oh, and that's okay. It would just.
It was just something that I thought of, which important. Extracting.
But you know, when you think about it, it's the same with clients. I mean,
correct.
Sometimes you're not going to be able to please all of them, so you have to determine where the potential. I don't like to say problem clients, but the challenging clients, and then you have to figure out a way to be able to provide the best service for them, knowing that there might be a challenge, and still be able to handle that client, because you don't want to lose a client. You always want to let them know that you can do what it is that they need you to do for them. So, you know, that is the truth, that you're not going to be able to please everyone, whether it is an employee or it is a client, but you do have to work out the best way that you can still take care of them.
And if you can't, if we can't, not you metaphorically, if we can't,
then we part ways.
There you go.
Well, no, no, it's okay. So if we're talking now about employees or clients, right? It doesn't matter. So you're looking at things kind of people. Okay. That, you know, we're either servicing or working with us. So we look at it in terms of sort of a continuum. And maybe on the left side, you know, you just kind of have difficulty and a lot of disparity. And on the right side, it's like you're humming like a well-oiled machine. So there's absolutely the opportunity to Colette's point, right? Because they're not challenges, but with inherent in any challenge or issue it's an opportunity. So if I'm a employer, I have an opportunity, because if I have people that somehow, you know, are not singing from the same hymnal, they're not productive, they're not performing well, okay, and it's, you know, how do I get them on the same page? If I've got clients that somehow seem to not be satisfied with my services, it absolutely is possible to move them from that position, because what we want to do is we want to ask the inquiring questions, what's missing, right? So if it's a client that's not happy with our services, it's, well, what's missing? What am I not providing you that you need? Because
Right. What do you want?
right. And the same thing goes for employees. You know, before we have to cut them off at the knees, it's, you know, this is what they call employee development. We have to ask, you know, why is it that that report was not done on time? Or why is their performance consistently, you know, does not meet expectations? So oftentimes, by nature of managing our expectations, to ask the inquiring questions, we can get at where the impediments or blocks are, and then we can provide ourselves an opportunity to kind of fix it. And the last ditch effort is if a client has to leave us because we're doing the best we can and they're still not happy, or if an employee is not, you know, performing well, okay, maybe we've got to, you know, fishing or cut bait. But there's a lot that can be done in the interim to try to move that needle closer to the middle where satisfaction exists.
And I agree, and that's basically what I was saying, because we don't want to, you know, just determine, okay, we're not going to please everyone and that's it. We do want to do what we can to be able to provide the services, because we're providing services. If we've got someone working for us, we're also providing a service to them. Right. You know, we're trying to lead by example and trying to show them what it means to be good management. So that's basically what I was saying. We have to work out ways. We have to find out why there's a problem. If it's an employee, what is it that we're missing here? If it's a client, what is it that, you know, what do you see as me providing the best service for you? And so sometimes it does come to a point where, yeah, it's just not going to work out. But that is after definitely exhausting those other options.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So, you know, I'm going to jump in. I think that
Yeah.
I think there are two different sides of that. Like Michelle, you're talking about employees, and I think you deal with employees different than you deal with clients, my opinion. Only because when they come to you, it's different. Like when you meet an employee, when you interview them, they come to you, you kind of have this agreement. And usually when someone starts a job, they're excited, you're excited, everybody's happy. So if something starts to go awry, I think it is imperative for us as an employer to try to figure out, like it's on us as employers. I agree with you there. It's on us as employers to say, hey, we started off beautifully. What's changed? What did I, you know, this book that I'm reading now, you know, what did I do or say that wasn't enough so you can understand the task at hand? You know, how can we address it? How can we adjust it? Because the book made an interesting point. It said employees typically want to do a good job. That's why you hire them, right? You felt they were going to do a good job and they thought they were going to do a good job. So we had that same competency to try to make sure that we are doing the very best to make the employee happy, and subsequently they'll make us happy. I think the different part though is like, huh?
What was their response when you had this conversation with them?
Oh, I didn't have this problem. I don't have this issue.
Did they actually ask you, did they agree?
I don't have this issue. My employees are great. No, I'm saying that the book I read, that was the point that they were making.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting because the book also said when any employee starts, they're excited to join your company,
right.
Typically, right? They want to do a good job. So it's up to us to make sure that the job is being done well. And that means that we have to give them the right knowledge, the right direction. So maybe we're inadequate in the way we train them, or in our letting them understand our expectations. And so as managers or business owners, we want to make sure that we have that straight. Oh, we might be filtering through employees like crazy.
And you know what? The thing about, you know, it's funny that we're talking about this because both my daughters worked for a fast food chain. And, you know, whenever there were issues, they would come home and say, Mom, this is what happened. This is what happened. Because I try to coach them on how to be a good employee and how to listen and to respect your management. Good. And so they'll talk to me about the different things. And, you know, at one point I had to say, look, just because someone is a manager doesn't mean they're a good manager. And they learn from whoever was before them. So we're talking now about employees that we might have that have been working for years, but sometimes we do have to treat them as if this is their first job, because, you know, when young people come on and start working, they have to learn basically how this thing works. You know, they have to learn how to relate to other people, and in us relating to them and being fair and being open and talking, it helps them when they get to a point where they're managing other people. So we have to treat everyone like that, as if this is their first job, because we don't know the backgrounds that they have and the bad habits that they've gotten from maybe bad managers. So we want to be fair managers. We want to talk to them and really try to coach them through and help them, you know, because no one wants to lose a job.
And it is their first job with us.
Right.
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 So we have our own expectations for it's our businesses. And typically when I'm working with people, I'm working with the business owner. It's your business. It's your culture. It's what you see for your business. And so when you hire somebody, you kind of want them to vibe with your culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're the one setting the expectations. I'm working with a client right now, and we're probably going to have to hire a new person. And so a lot of times, like, well, what kind of person do I want? No, we got to figure out you first. The kind of what do you need in an employee, and then you find the match. Now you've got this match, and so now once you kind of agreed on this match, now it's making it work in a cohesive way over an extended period of time, and that's managing expectations. That's training, and when things fall, and inevitably things will slip, right? I mean, performance sometimes slips, but it's on us as owners to make sure. That's, to me, that's the part of the owners. That's the ownership part, right? Mm-hmm. I hired you to accomplish what I need accomplished. My job is to make sure that I give you everything that's empowered to do it. You know?
Yeah, it's interesting. What, you know, we've uncovered in a lot of instances is hiring managers or even people in HR may not even know what personality or behavioral type an individual has to possess in order to be a good fit for the position, because they start with a job description, and the job description speaks to the role, duties, and responsibilities, but doesn't necessarily speak to what's the values of the individual, what's their personality type, are they an introvert, are they an extrovert? So all of these things are important, and you know, it goes beneath the surface, because what good hiring practices helps is to, let's look at the position as if the position could speak, to your point, Mark, and that is, if this position requires that person to interact with other people on a frequent basis, cross-functionally, it doesn't have to be a big organization, but that it requires people skills, good communication skills, then don't necessarily, an introvert who just kind of wants to be siloed, you know, working on their computer, regardless of what skill or competency or experience they have, is not going to be a fit for the job. And oftentimes, from a hiring perspective, hiring managers and HR people aren't asking the right questions in the interview process to even get at that. They're just asking, you know, experiential questions or skill set. And then unfortunately, they think they have a match, the person gets in the job, and then after about 90 days, after the honeymoon period is over and the training perhaps has been done to the best of the hiring manager's ability, they're crashing and burning. It's because, you know, they're not only a good fit for the role, but their values may not be aligned with the organization. So yeah, it's you know, taking 3 steps back to say, let's look at the job from all these different angles, and let's make sure that the questions that we ask during the interview process, as best we can extract what someone's personality type, without profiling people, of course, but their communication, their behavioral, and their personality type. That tells a lot.
It stems back to the interview process. It stems right back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. And we hope that they're being candid with us, and not just, hey, I need a job. I have to have a job.
I'll say whatever you tell me to say so I can get this job.
Well, that's why the questions have to be crafted in a way that you're asking experiential questions. It's not do you, can you, right? Because when you're asking experiential questions, they don't even know what you're going for. So they don't know what would be the right answer. They're just answering it experientially. Or if you're saying, if you were in a scenario like this, how would you handle it? They don't know what the right answer is, right? So,
I don't know what the right answer is.
right.
And if you do it right, based on what Michelle is saying too, if you do it right, then you should be able to please your employees all the time.
Right.
Because you've done more than just, hey, answer this, here, fill out this cold hard spelling test, and if you can spell 100%, you got the answer. It's not going to work.
Right.
Spelling test doesn't work.
You have to
At least increase the chances, I should say. You said, Bruce, I cut you.
No, it's you have to. It's work. It ends up being. It's a process. You can speak to an interviewer, and as you said, Michelle, as you said before, the interpretation, what I interpret may be something differently than another person might. And that stems back to the hiring part. Are you a fit for our company? This is our decision. Are you a fit? Or, if I'm not quite sure, how do we handle that? There isn't one I don't think there's one answer for any of this. I think there are always multiple
Yeah,
answers.
if there were one answer, we'd always get it right? You're right about
It's
that.
a very
You could
complex
just say,
process.
go to that answer, and no, that's not. And man, then it wouldn't be fun. It's so I like that. Really cool. So I'm gonna just throw a couple things out because we're moving on in time. We try to make these things thematic, right? Just something to think about. I wanted to get your thoughts on this statement like this. I did an interview for my podcast, and this girl made an interesting point about what she thinks success, how you get successful. I like what she said. It was kind of quirky. She said, if you want to do it, then decide to do it, then do it. And that's how you find success. What do you think about that? If you want to do it, then decide to do it, then do it.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The most critical part is that they want to do it. So you're at some point there already. At least they want to do it, and then the training and education, that's up to us.
Okay.
Us.
I like it.
My thought, I think it's very, forgive all the dings, that's my outlook. I listened to it, and it's a very kind of amorphous answer. I don't even get what she's saying, but okay. I don't get it at all, because my brain goes, what's the it?
Right.
What's the it?
It is. I think I can understand what she might be saying when, if you want to do it, go. Basically, it's, if you're going to talk about it and you're saying you want to do it, go ahead and put some work to it and do it. But when it comes to being successful, or what you consider successful, I think more so continuing to do it, even though you might have a failure, getting back up and doing what needs to be done for you to get to that next step. This is not the first business I've ever started. And to me, I think that this is probably one of the most challenging. So, sometimes you'll get up and you say, oh, I got to do this, and I've got to do this, and I've got to make sure. And then I still have to make sure that I take this test to, make sure I get this certification or whatever. And, you can feel like, I don't know if I can do this, but you've got to get up and you've got to do it. You've got to, if you're trying to be successful, you have to get up and you have to take care of everything that needs to be done in steps or whatever, or even if it's someone you've assigned to do a portion, you got to get with them to make sure that's done. So I can kind of understand, but it really is just to not give up, just to continue to do it.
I'm looking at Michelle's face. She's like, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it.
Well, no, I agree wholeheartedly with Colette, because what I'm hearing is resiliency, right? It's the
Yeah.
resiliency. It's the
Right.
stick-to-itiveness. And, you know, for me, I kind of take it one step beneath the surface, whether it's through the business coaching we do with entrepreneurs that are starting a business, or it's, you know, employees at whatever level they are in their career. One of the things that is within our philosophy is that success is not extrinsic, it's intrinsic. Success is not something we're going to attain, because we'll never get there. But when we can, it's like Simon Sinek's book, Start with the Why. When we can identify what's the why, what is it in my value system, what motivates me to wake up every day. When we can identify the why, which then is our vocation, it's our calling, it's our passion. When we're doing that, that in and of itself is success. It's a process, right? Because success is not a destination, it's a process. But that, to Khaled's point, will bring the resiliency, because you're waking up every day going, you know what? This is attached to my soul. I love this. I can't not do it, right? Double negative. And the feeling of success being on that path is what will keep us motivated. And that intrinsic level of fulfillment and satisfaction is what we will be tapping into along the process.
Right.
I like it.
So it's helping, it's like contrary to what society tells us, right? Because you ask the majority of people what's success, they're going to talk about money, status, you know, vacation, something extrinsic, which is why we're on this hamster wheel half of our life.
Right.
Not recognizing that, hang on a second, success is let me put a megaphone to my heart and figure out what is it that pumps Kool-Aid, you know?
Right.
And then if I can get on that path, then clear runway.
Nice, nice. I disappeared from the screen. Did you notice that?
Yes.
I had to steal something. I'm sorry. Michelle, I hope you don't mind. I stole that. Success is not extrinsic, it's intrinsic. I hope you don't mind, because that might be next week's discussion. I thought that was brilliant. And it's interesting. I'll tell you this. So far, I've interviewed, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 people for the podcast, maybe more now. And part of it's stories of success. So in every podcast, I have asked every owner, how do you define success? Not one of them has said money yet. I'm really impressed with that.
Surprised.
Yeah, not one of them. I'm going to tell you the commonality, in my opinion. Every single one of them is a business owner. And so when we start our business, you can tell me if I'm wrong, we didn't start it to say, I'm making gobs of money. Most of us left corporate America and we were making money. So we didn't start our business to make gobs of money. We started for something else. And what I'm finding, which I think is beautiful, is that everyone's idea or their version of success centers around different things, and it's not money. When I was speaking, and the girl who made that statement, if you want to do it, then decide to do it, then do it. Her name is Katie C. I like that name, Katie C. And I asked her about her version of success, and she talked about that because she said, you know, when I started my business, I was a manager at a big firm, and I was doing that, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something different with my life, with my time. So then I decided to do it. But then I did it. And those are 3 separate things. It was very interesting. I was like, that is profound, right? You know, I'll put it like this. A year ago, I wanted to start a podcast. And nothing happened. I did research. I read, and nothing happened. And then earlier this year, I said, I'm going to decide to do it. And then finally, I did it. They're 3 different things. So to get success, you got to want it first. It's like that seed is implanted. But then you got to commit to it. And then you got to act on your commitment. You know, I find when I'm coaching, I love that statement, because when I'm coaching my business owners, when I'm working with them, you know, we'll come up with our plans. You probably do. Well, you're better than me at this stuff, Michelle, but you come up with all these plans and these ideas, and they're like, yeah, right. And okay, so good. So in 2 weeks, we're going to touch base and we're going to hit task number 1. And then 2 weeks comes by and you say, hey, how'd it go? And they go, well, what happened was what happened? And it's always some reason. They said they wanted to do it, but they didn't really decide, or they didn't commit. They didn't do it. They didn't take the steps. They got involved and they sort of backed out. And so I like that, because it's like, it's really following through on what you say you want. I think that's part of what our coaching is all about is, okay, this is what you said. This is what we planned. Now I'm trying to help you stay accountable with it to get you to do it. If you follow the steps, you'll have your end result. So it was pretty profound. I liked it. So thank you guys for vamping. So I'm gonna give you a couple of other thoughts and then we're gonna wrap up if everybody's fine. We're getting close to an hour. It's always amazing to me how time flies. It just flies.
Only when you're having fun.
Only when you're having fun, yeah. So what we do from week to week is we kind of have commitments and then we talk about them. So last week, we're missing a lot of guys. Jonathan went on a fishing trip. Courtney had something else to take care of. So we had a couple of people who had goals. I think the only ones who had set a goal last week was you, Bruce, and me. Yours was to work on being more organized. Remember that? You said, I'm looking at my notes. You were working on some sort of a plan to get organized in your business. How'd that work out for you thus far?
It's something that it can't be done in a week.
Amen.
It's a process. I'm looking at my desk. You can't see my desk, but I can turn it. Maybe you can see. I don't know if you can.
You have TV?
I do.
No wonder you can't get organized. Go ahead.
I only watch the news. I only watch the news. But I know where everything is. As bad as it looks to you guys, I know where everything is.
That's usually when you can tell there's a problem.
Oh, wow. I was going to say
I know where everything is.
They call it organized chaos.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Organized chaos.
So that means you have a goal to continue to work at, continue to refine your organization process.
So I want to offer something to you. So there's a bit of what you said that's a bit of a limiting belief. Yes, it's a process, but if you broke your organization goal down into smaller increments and give yourself a goal that by the end of next week, what aspect of organization do you want to tackle? You'd start to see results, because that's what you're looking for, incremental results.
So when you think about that's that one bite at a time to get to finish off the whole elephant.
Would be to get the agents more involved. But this, again, the real estate business is an anomaly. These guys aren't getting paid unless they produce.
But what kind of organization are you talking about, Bruce? Your office or the business?
Because you showed me your desk.
Yeah, my dad, but I know where everything is. But they aren't getting paid unless they produce. And you have people have different wants and needs and requirements. So it's hard to get some people motivated.
But I'm confused. What's the goal that Mark was referencing? He said organization.
For me to get myself organized better, to accomplish more interaction in the office.
Okay.
They don't have to come to the office. They aren't getting paid. So real estate is much different. It isn't any different in Georgia. In Michelle, where are you from? Oh, sorry.
I'm in Teaneck.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Okay, that's where I am. People have different wants and needs themselves, and they aren't getting a paycheck every week unless they produce.
So I guess where you losing everybody, Bruce, is you said, I need to be more organized. So how does your organization get people paid, or does it not? Does it or does it not?
When they produce, they get paid.
Oh, so it has nothing to do with your organization. The fact that you are disorganized.
I want to get them more involved.
Okay.
I'd like to get them more involved. I've been, but it's very hard to do. It's very hard to do when I'm the manager, but they aren't getting paid. You aren't getting
Gotcha.
paid unless you do
Produce,
business.
sell. Okay.
So they're independent contractors.
That's always
So it's a
interesting to think.
whole, it's a
ITs,
whole different,
ball of wax.
yeah,
Well, it sounds to me like they might have an employee mentality, but yet, they're independent contractors and they've got to realize that they're only going to eat what they kill.
and
So
some do and some don't.
they've got
And
to
in
go
this
out there and they've got to hunt.
and in this economy, it's so different, right? So easier said than done. Trying to sell houses, I'm at this point, it's an adjustment. But anyway, the last time you were with us, Miss Colette, you had a goal. You were working on your website, and I
Right.
think you told us that you actually made it pop. Is it live, Brett? Is it ready
It
to
is
rock?
live, fluidfinancialgroup.com. It is live. I had a little challenge the other day with my domain name. Someone tried to hold, they're trying to hold my database hostage and they want money for it, believe it or not. But they did it before people started entering information. So I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So now we're doing some things internally to get that taken care of.
Okay.
They waited, it was too soon.
They jumped into the water before.
They jumped in too soon. So we're trying to get that taken care of, but I'm trying to do the social media part that I need to do. We talked about that other thing with the webinar.
Yes.
I kind of had to not really pivot, but I started working on some other things that's going to kind of get that together. But anyway,
So what do you
right
have
now,
specific for next week then?
for next week, really, it's going to be concentrating on doing some cold calls.
Okay.
Because even though, I'm doing the social media and everything, that's a little slow because I want it to be organic, and just a few ads. And so we're going to have to do some cold calls and try to get people to realize that we're here to service them and to help them.
You
have a specific number of cold calls you want to hit next week I'm going to do at least. Have you thought about that?
I'm hoping that we can do anywhere, maybe, I know it probably is kind of low, but maybe 100 to 200.
I like it. I'm writing that down, that you're going to do 150 cold calls, because that's between 100, if my math is tight.
Okay.
You know why I like that? I mean, a lot of times we say things like, I want to do cold calls. I've done that, and I'll do 3 and be like, this sucks, I'm done. So I got to have a specific target. So
right.
I'm going to hold you to that one. Of course, we know it doesn't matter if we don't make it, but it's something to strive for.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But I'm really trying to make sure that my social media really looks good, because again, just trying to, show women that they just really need to look at planning for the future more. I
would tell you your social media, because I follow you or whatever, it looks amazing. Like, I'm looking at your stuff. You've got that nailed. It is really, really professional. And I like what you're doing with it. Keep it up. That's all I can tell you. Keep it up. Because it definitely is impactful. Okay. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm not a woman, but it catches my eye immediately, and I read it and I go, wow, that's powerful. So nice. I appreciate the feedback, and I'd love for you to continue to give me feedback, because always. This is something. The whole idea is we want to work together, grow together, right? So right. Cool. And if anyone else wants to follow me, it's on Facebook and Instagram. It's Fluid Financial Group. Move your head over to the right so we can see the words. Okay. Move your head over. I'll move your graphic. Okay. I'm going to type it in. Oh, yeah, do that. I can pop it up. Michelle, I mean, no one's committed to anything. So if you would like to just say, oh, this week I want to work on, feel free if you'd like to.
Sure. Yeah, I'll participate. So what I'm hearing from Bruce and Colette, are we looking to identify a long-term goal or a goal that we can actually accomplish in a week?
I mean, it's whatever we want, but what I've been doing is what's the one thing I can do by next week that's going to move me forward. So even if you have a long-term goal, there's these interim steps.
Got it. Okay. So, so I like the fact that we're talking about being accountability partners to each other. So one of the things in terms of pivoting my business to leverage kind of what's happening given, the social climate, and now heavily focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm not a diversity and inclusion specialist consultant, but I'm looking to get finally certified as a minority and women-owned business. Are you, Colette?
No, I'm not yet.
Okay. Just curious. So, because even with the clients that I currently have, what they're saying to me is they're going to be ratcheting up the type of the opportunities, vendor opportunities for minorities, women. Right now the spotlight is on being a minority. So my goal is to apply for the certification, and what I'll commit to doing in the week, because it's going to be a process, will be to at least download the application, because I hear that it's a pretty arduous process. Find out exactly all of what is required, because there's a lot of documents. I'm going to parcel this off to my assistant, but I at least will download. Yeah, I don't want to do it myself. I will download the checklist and then begin to assemble what the documents are that I need to parcel to him so that he can complete the application for me.
Nice. Yeah. That's really nice. It's tangible. It's like, okay, but I can get this done. All right. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, boy, that's you already had this well thought out, I can tell. So I was thinking that I've developed a program, a 90-day program that I've been working on. And I want to just put the finishing touches on it. It's really a 90-day program for small business owners to increase. I kind of call it, the business is sucking the life out of you. And so I want to identify a couple of the pain points that really means. I know what they are, but I want to be able to articulate them a little bit better, and then help people to understand how they can incorporate the changes that they need to make in order to reduce or mitigate those things that are taking the joy out of business owners. I think especially in this time period, a lot of business owners they've struggled, right? They just have. And so when times are great, we're all happy. When times are not so great, people start to lose their joy. People are shutting their doors. So I want to my whole idea is that I want to bolster businesses, right? Even in bad times, we can flourish. We can at least maintain. So I want to really identify how I want to convey that to people. So that's my goal. It's a little bit obtuse, but that's what I'm going to work on. So we'll see how that goes. Cool. A lot to work on. I just want to thank everybody. It's very, very interesting. Somebody was just trying to join like right now. It was the girl who was in my podcast. So maybe she tried. I don't know. I saw her coming in, but it didn't take. Internet is an interesting thing. Maybe she'll catch up with us another time. But hey, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate your participation. I think this was a really good and interesting conversation. We got kind of heavy into employees, right? And making sure that they...
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. I thought it was really good. And I got some information that I'm going to be able to use when helping other business owners and their employees. That's what I pulled out of it. So thank you. It's great for me because I work with businesses all the time. So
don't raise your prices, Mark.
Oh, only for you, Bruce.
Don't.
For you. Can I, whatever the number is I had before, can you just say times 2?
Not an increase.
All right, guys. So thanks again, and hopefully we'll do it again.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great week.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.